In a ruling that has sent shockwaves across the United Kingdom and beyond, the UK Supreme Court has redefined the legal meaning of woman under the Equality Act 2010, stating that it refers exclusively to biological sex. While some hail this as a victory for women's rights and legal clarity, others see it as a troubling step back for transgender rights. Welcome to Mentor's Mindset. In this video, we break down the origins of the case, the court's reasoning, the implications of the ruling, and the fierce reactions from public figures, campaigners, and citizens on both sides of the debate. The case stems from a legal challenge brought by For Women Scotland against the Scottish Government's guidance on the Gender Representation on Public Boards Act 2018. This act aimed to increase the number of women on public boards, but included transgender women with gender recognition certificates within its definition of woman. For Women, Scotland argued that this conflicted with the Equality Act 2010, asserting that woman should mean biological females only, a stance that led to their appeal to the Supreme Court. On April 2025, the Supreme Court ruled unanimously the term woman within the Equality Act refers specifically to biological sex. The judges concluded that including trans women in the definition of woman in this legal context was inconsistent with the wording and purpose of the Act. The ruling was framed as a matter of legal clarity, ensuring that rights and protections afforded to women, particularly concerning single-sex spaces and services, remain clear and enforceable. The ruling was welcomed by several high-profile political figures and public voices. Prime Minister Keir Starmer, after months of wavering, publicly endorsed the decision, stating it provided essential clarity for policy development around gender issues. His spokesperson affirmed that Starmer now aligns with the court's interpretation of woman as based on biological sex. Bridget Phillipson, the Equalities Minister, echoed this sentiment, emphasising that the preservation of single-sex spaces is vital, promising updated government guidance to reflect the ruling. Kemi Badenoch, leader of the Conservative Party and a long-time critic of gender self-identification policies, called the decision a victory for all the women who faced personal abuse or lost their jobs for stating the obvious. Jean Freeman, former Scottish Health Secretary, urged the Scottish Government to revisit or even scrap its transgender self-identification policies to ensure they align with this legal interpretation. Perhaps one of the most vocal supporters, J.K. Rowling, the Harry Potter author, and a self-declared gender-critical feminist, celebrated the ruling. Rowling had previously donated £70,000 to fund For Women Scotland's legal challenge and described the decision as a crucial step in defending women's rights. But the ruling has not gone unchallenged. Critics argue that this legal definition could pave the way for further marginalisation of transgender individuals. Stonewall, the UK's largest LGBTQ+ rights organisation, condemned the decision as incredibly worrying, warning that it could set back trans equality by decades. Amnesty International UK expressed similar concerns, cautioning that while legal protections against discrimination remain in place, the ruling sends a negative signal about trans inclusion in public life. British actress Amy Lou Wood voiced her pure rage over the decision, condemning what she saw as the exclusion of transgender voices from the legal proceedings and criticising the disproportionate focus on trans issues amid other pressing national concerns. Nicola Coughlan, star of Bridgerton, raised over £70,000 for the trans charity Not a Phase in direct response to the ruling, calling on her followers and fellow public figures to stand in solidarity with the trans community. Across the UK, trans rights activists have mobilised swiftly, holding major protests in London, Edinburgh and other cities, demanding that trans identities be respected and recognised in law. Their message: this is not the end of the fight for trans equality. The implications of this ruling are far-reaching. Healthcare hospitals may need to re-examine their policies regarding single-sex wards. Education schools could revisit their guidelines on access to bathrooms and changing rooms. Sports, athletic governing bodies might feel compelled to reassess participation rules for gender-specific competitions. Yet it's important to note the Equality Act still protects individuals against discrimination on the basis of gender reassignment. However, this ruling emphasizes that when sex matters in law, biological sex is the determinant. Moving forward, institutions will need to align their policies with this legal interpretation. The Equality and Human Rights Commission is expected to provide further guidance to ensure compliance and protect the rights of all individuals. This ruling may also prompt discussions about potential legislative amendments to address the complexities of gender identity and legal definitions. As different nations take different approaches, the tension between legal frameworks and lived experiences continues to grow. A moment that will shape UK policy, politics, and public discourse for years to come. For some, it's a restoration of women's rights. For others, it's a painful blow to transgender equality. As society navigates this evolving landscape, the challenge remains: how do we reconcile legal clarity with human dignity? Let's continue the conversation. What are your thoughts on this landmark ruling? Do you see it as a step forward or a step back? Share your views in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more in-depth discussions on today's most pressing social issues.